most dangerous man is not the loudest, not the one who rages or shouts. It's the one who sits still while the world burns around him, the one whose calm makes others nervous because he cannot be shaken. Machiavelli knew this. True power isn't loud. It's cold, silent, and deeply controlled. Machiavelli didn't just study power. He studied how men lose it. And the truth? It wasn't always the weak who fell. It was the emotional, the impulsive, the ones who cracked when pressure built, but the ones who stayed calm, deliberate, unmoved. They were the ones others feared, because calmness isn't softness, it's control. It's a mask that hides chaos while you plan your next move. By the end of this video, you'll learn 7 ruthless ways to forge Machiavelli's dark inner calm and why it makes you untenable. If you crave power, clarity, and control over your own mind, subscribe now. This channel doesn't feed your ego. It sharpens your edge. Control emotion, control perception. Machiavelli said it clearly. Men judge more with their eyes than with their hands. Meaning what? People don't care about your reality. They care about the image you project. You could be panicking inside, broken, angry, confused. But if you appear calm, you control the room. That's the first secret to dark inner calm. Emotion is not for display. It's for you to master, and for others to never suspect. See, the world doesn't give you power because you shout the loudest. It gives power to those who look unshaken, even in the middle of chaos. The calm man at the table, he looks like he's already won, even if he hasn't, because he seems in control of the situation and of himself. And here's the ruthless truth. The one who controls his own mind often ends up controlling everyone else's, because emotion is contagious. If you panic, others will too. If you stay calm, they look to you for direction. You become the anchor, the center of gravity, the source of stability. That's when perception shifts. You're no longer just present, you're in power. Even if you're unsure, even if you're doubting, you don't show it. Not because you're fake, but because your mission is bigger than your feelings. Machiavelli's insight: your calmness isn't just for peace, it's for power. Because in a world ruled by emotion, the man who commands his own remains untouchable. Finally, when your silence speaks louder than their screaming, when your stillness feels like strength, that's when you become more than just a man. You become a presence, unshakable. Calmness creates fear. Most people fear what they can predict, but they fear even more what they can't. See, anger is predictable. Rage, easy to manipulate. If someone's shouting, you know exactly where their energy is going. But when a man goes silent, when he looks straight through you, when he reacts with nothing but stillness, that's when your mind starts to spiral. What is he thinking? Why isn't he reacting? What's he planning? That's the true power of calmness. It turns your enemy's confidence into confusion. They expect retaliation. You give them stillness. They throw fire. You respond with ICE. And in that silence, they start battling themselves. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew that when a ruler remains unreadable, he becomes uncontrollable, and people fear what they can't control. They project their worst fears onto you, and in doing so, they defeat themselves. It's psychological warfare. Without saying a word, you dominate their mind. Because stillness is like a blank canvas, they'll paint it with their own doubts, fears, and fantasies. And here's the twist. The less emotion you reveal, the more power they give you. They assume you're 10 steps ahead, even if you're standing still. Finally, they realize too late. You didn't need to shout. You didn't need to react. You just needed to wait. while they unravel themselves in fear. That is the ruthless calmness that wins wars. Not the sword, not the scream, but the still mind that never blinks. Inner calm protects against manipulation. People will try to control you in two ways: by feeding your ego or by attacking it. Flattery and insult, praise and provocation, sweet poison and sharp daggers. Both are weapons, both are traps. And the moment you react emotionally, you've already lost. Let's say someone flatters you. You're brilliant, you're irreplaceable, nobody can do what you do. Feels good, right? But here's the trap. Now you crave that praise. You become predictable, dependent. They know your weakness, and the moment they withdraw it, you start bending just to earn it back. You become their puppet, with gold chains instead of rope. Now flip the script. They insult you, challenge you, question your intelligence, your value. You react with rage. You've just told them exactly where to press next time. But if you stay calm, if your face doesn't change, if your voice stays even, if your energy doesn't move an inch, they get nothing. No leverage, no read, no control. That's the hidden weapon of inner calm. It's like a mirror with no reflection. People throw their tactics at you, but nothing sticks. Machiavelli would say, the man who controls his face controls the conversation, because power isn't just about domination. It's about being unreadable, unpredictable, untouchable. Finally, they'll realize they can't manipulate what they can't reach, and they can't reach the man who has mastered himself. Let others be triggered. Let others react. You stay still. You stay sharp. You stay silent. And in that silence, you remain unbroken. The calm mind sees clearly. Most people don't see the world as it is. They see it through their fear, their desire, their ego. When things go wrong, they panic. When things go right, they get arrogant. They react, they rush, they distort reality. But Machiavelli knew, a ruler who cannot see clearly cannot rule for long. You can't make powerful decisions in noise, and you can't see truth through emotional fog. That's why calmness is so dangerous. It gives you what others don't have, clarity. Think about it. While others are chasing applause, you're watching in silence. While they get high off praise or crushed by criticism, you stay centered. While they react, you calculate. While they rush, you observe. And here's the ruthless truth. Calm doesn't just give you peace, it gives you vision. You start seeing patterns before they emerge, weaknesses no one else notices, opportunities buried in chaos. You become like the hunter watching from the shadows, quiet, still, but fully aware of everything moving. Machiavelli believed, to rule well, a man must see the world as it is, not as he hopes, and you can only do that when your mind is still. No fantasies, no panic, just clear, cold awareness. Finally, while others drown in distraction, you move like a shadow through their blind spots, because the calm mind doesn't just see clearly, it sees further. Calmness in crisis builds obedience. Chaos is the great revealer. It strips away titles, masks, and fake confidence, and shows who's truly in control. In times of panic, most people look around, not for answers, but for someone to follow, someone who isn't trembling, someone whose eyes don't dart around the room, someone whose very presence feels like gravity. Machiavelli understood this. He watched entire armies fall apart, not because they lacked weapons, but because their leaders broke down first. So he studied those few, the rare rulers who, in the middle of fire and betrayal, stood still, calm, unshaken, even if the storm was tearing everything apart. And what happened? People gravitated toward them. They listened, obeyed, even feared them. Because here's the ruthless insight. Calmness in crisis is power. When others panic, your stillness becomes a lighthouse, a signal that says, I'm not afraid. I'm not broken. I know exactly what to do. You don't even have to shout. You don't even have to command. They'll follow you on instinct because your calm makes their fear shrink. And that's the dark truth Machiavelli saw. Fear is contagious, but so is calm. The man who keeps his center when others lose theirs becomes their anchor and then their master. Finally, in a world addicted to reaction, calmness becomes an authority signal, a crown made of silence. So the next time chaos comes, don't flinch, don't run, stand still, and let them come to you. Inner calm makes you unshakable under attack. Everyone has a plan until they're under attack. Pressure reveals the truth, and most men, they crack, they fold, they lash out. But the rare few, the ones who've trained their emotions, they become something else entirely. Untouchable. Machiavelli knew this. He warned rulers, don't just prepare for victory, prepare for betrayal, prepare for lies, slander, and silent knives, because they're coming, and when they do, the world will watch how you react. Will you explode, panic, collapse, or will you stand calm, cold, calculating? Here's the ruthless insight. If they can shake your mind, they don't need to touch your body. But if your calm runs deep, if your pulse slows under fire, then every attack becomes a signal of their weakness, not yours. The world starts to say, he's dangerous. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't break. He doesn't even blink. And that's when power begins to orbit around you. Not because you shout, but because you're still standing, while others destroy themselves in emotion. Train your calm like a weapon, because when storms rise, the unshakable man becomes the storm. Calmness lets you choose when to strike. In war, the loudest one dies first. In business, the one who reacts fastest often reacts wrong. And in life, the man who acts from emotion always serves the man who waits. Machiavelli's genius wasn't just strategy, it was timing. He knew something most men still don't understand. Power isn't just about action, it's about restraint. Anyone can throw a punch, but very few know when to wait, to watch, to breathe, to let the enemy swing first and miss. Calmness gives you space, not just mental space, but tactical space. You begin to see the battlefield clearly, the cracks in their armor, the weakness in their words. And then, when it's your moment, when their guard is down, you strike once, not emotionally, not impulsively, with calculation, precision, force. And that one calm, ruthless strike hits harder than 1,000 wild blows. Here's the ruthless insight. A man who is calm controls time, and time controls everything. Because while they burn themselves out trying to win every moment, you'll win the right one. Calmness isn't stillness, it's lethal patience. It's holding the sword behind your back until the exact second it matters. So master it, and when you strike, it won't just be surprising, it'll be final. Here's the truth most men never realize. Rage makes you predictable. Noise makes you visible. Every outburst, every overreaction, every emotional move gives your enemy a blueprint of who you are. But calmness, that's different. Calmness is a locked vault, a closed curtain, a battlefield covered in fog. No one knows where you'll strike from. And that is why calmness terrifies. People can fight what they see, but they crumble in front of what they can't understand. Because when you don't react, they start second-guessing, then doubting, then unraveling. That's the dark, hidden insight. The man who cannot be rattled, cannot be ruled. He becomes a ghost in the room, unshaken, unreadable, unstoppable. They don't know if you're planning something or nothing at all. And that uncertainty is a weapon sharper than any blade. So remember, your calm doesn't just protect you, it haunts them. And that's exactly how power is built, not in reaction, but in restraint. Imagine this: enemies screaming your name, allies pulling away, The world judging you, doubting you, everything burning around you. But you don't flinch. You don't speak. You just sit there, still, silent, watching. Because while they panic, you calculate. While they shout, you sharpen. And in that stillness, you realize something. They can attack your reputation. They can challenge your position. But they can't touch your mind. That is the dark inner calm, the invisible shield that protects you, the storm inside that no one sees, but everyone feels. And when you master it, you don't just survive chaos, you rule from within it. That's power, that's presence. That's why no one can shake you, because you've already conquered the war inside. Machiavelli's wisdom is clear. Power doesn't scream, it doesn't chase approval, it doesn't crumble when tested. True power sits, calm, cold, unshakable. The lion doesn't roar to prove he's king, he just watches. And when it's time, he strikes once, then disappears back into the dark. That's the dark inner calm, that's your edge. Use it.